Hello everyone, this is Shijo Chandapillai, your favorite clinical hypnotherapist. I help people overcome migraine so that they can live their life in a peaceful and pain-free, so that they can live on their life on their terms. Today we are going to be talking about emotions. What is the underlying causes of migraine? A lot of times, even to this day, research has been done, but we can never find what is actually causing the migraine or where is this coming from. All we do is, take pain medications or do Botox, things like that, so that, we don't go through the migraine again. So in this video, we're going to be actually looking at very interesting things that is connected to migraines that you've been having throughout your life. So first, we're going to be looking at something very interesting. We're going to be looking at the emotional connections behind migraine. Studies have shown that migraines are connected to adverse childhood experience. A lot of times when I see my clients who go through migraine, we always ask them, hey, when did this start? When do you remember? And a lot of times they actually tell me that it started when they were 6 or 7, or sometimes people who were, in their 30s too. But most of the time, I do tend to get clients who are in that 6 to 10 range. That's when they remember that, this is something that they went through, but at that time, they only remembered it as a headache. So the adverse childhood experience is something that is a traumatic event or episodes of traumatic event that's been going through childhood where you have no control over, and it caused you so much pain, unbearable pain, in a way that you didn't know what to do or how to handle it. Because, you're new to the world, you're only 6 years, on this planet, and you do not know how to respond to certain things. So some of the things that are, that lie under the adverse childhood experience are emotional neglect, emotional abuse, and the sexual abuse. So these are the three things that can happen in an early childhood from parents or even the people that we trust. Neglect is it's a big trauma that you tend to have, and you tend to carry it in your adult life. So a lot of times you can see that a lot of behavior, or a lot of times your reality or the way you see the world is actually based on your childhood experience. And if there are some adverse childhood experience, you will definitely see the world as not a safe place to be in, which is so much stress, which is so much things that we have to go through. So on the next page, we're going to make some connections. We're going to go through an example. And if you can relate it, please leave the comment, I can relate to this in the comment section below. So some of the connection is, imagine that you grew up in a place or in a household where there was intense domestic violence, in a way that the parents usually fight, or something related to siblings when you were around that 6, 7, or 12 years old. These kind of things actually creates a traumatic event. So this is you as a child, and you have your parents, you have your dad, you have your mom. Maybe there is some sort of a problem between dad and mom, or there could be an alcoholic father, there could be a drug addict mother, or a parents who abandoned their kids. These kind of things that are in that household. That's what we're going to be looking at. So you as a child is experiencing this. You as a child is watching this experience, is hearing this experience, is feeling this experience. And this experience is creating something called a trauma in you. This could be something that, happens one time, but most of the time it is like a repetitive process. So each time, this thing over here happens, this domestic violence happens, you are experiencing this again and again, and the size of the trauma in your body is getting bigger and bigger. So my teacher, Marissa Peer, used to say that if the eyes don't cry, sooner or later the body will start to cry, or different types or different part of your body organs will cry, which will manifest as diseases. So these traumatic events create a post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, It could be linked to like anxiety, whatever it is, right? When you grow up, you tend to forget about, all the experience, all the adverse childhood experience that you had. But this PTSD, this post-traumatic stress disorder, is something that your body learned, and it is in your body. And this, in the future, may or may not. Most of the time with my clients, it does manifest as migraine. This is like a response system that you have in your body that your mind learned. So we're going to be looking at it in a more detailed way, how this actually happens. So going to the next page. I know it's a little small, but we'll make a better one for my viewers. So when we talk about migraine, if you look up migraine on Google, this is the thing that you really see. Significant stress at early time in life causes hypersensitive response. Hypersensitive response is a learned response. It is something that is called, or that response can actually show or manifest as PTSD, anxiety, headaches, illness, migraine, you name it. So this hypersensitive response, you learn it in this childhood. And if it's adverse, that experience actually teaches you this on a repetitive way. So what happens is that in your adult life over here, whenever stress or something similar of an experience that brought you the same feeling, or is about to bring you that same feeling that you experienced in your childhood, I'm not talking about the event, I'm talking about the feeling, suddenly a hypersensitive response is generated. Okay, so when we teach our kids, hey, listen, if there's fire, what you're gonna do? You're gonna either run out of the house, or if you can manage it, you're gonna put some water, and then you're gonna, kill the fire away, right? You teach this. The body learned it. It creates a memory and it stores in the subconscious mind. So in the same way, this hypersensitive response, any responses that we have in our body and mind, is actually a learned process. So when we have this stress in the adult life or anything like that, we can refer that as a trigger, and then suddenly there is neuroinflammation going on. The stress response or the hypersensitive response kicks in, and whatever it was that that happened in your childhood, as a result of it, like a headache, migraine, nausea, whatever it is, it's going to start pumping up. Suddenly, instead of you dealing with the pain of that stress, you dealing with the feeling of that problem or that experience, what happens is that suddenly you're going to be focusing on the pain that is going in your body. Nothing else in the world matters, or nothing else in the world can give you pain, because you already have a traumatic pain, agony, like migraine in your body that is running. So suddenly the only thing you can do is you can just be by your own, sit in a dark room and try to wait till this go over. So this is the whole process that is running in a loop. So a lot of times, you go to doctors and neurologists, they try to help you. They give you pain medication, things like that. But the fact is that these medication and painkillers numb the pain. That's all it does, because it's pretty much suppressing this hypersensitive response, which is migraine or any other thing. The problem is that the root cause is a learned response that, is in your body. It's a memory. It is a mechanism. Such and such happens, then this and this has to happen. So the root cause is this learned response during that adverse childhood experience. So in my understanding, and this is how my clients get a lot of better results, either they're free of migraine, or they are it's going to a very low level. What happens is, once you fix that adverse childhood experience, once you see it in another way, once you teach your mind that, hey, that was during my childhood. I'm here about 35, 60, 70, or if it was a bad marriage, hey, listen, I'm about this age. I don't need that response system anymore. I am not that person anymore. So once you teach the mind how to adjust to that, or taking it out, we don't need that response system anymore, or if a stress or anxiety or whatever trigger comes in, we take it in a way that instead of reacting, we will respond to it. So these kind of things actually fix that hypersensitive response. Once you fix that, you fix the hypersensitive response, and then you fix the migraine. That's how the whole process works. But sadly, a lot of people, are still working with pain medication, and once the pain medication wears off, the migraine is still going to come back. Once you stop or once you drop the painkillers, it's still going to come back because it's a response system. It's like you breathing. So this is the whole science that, in my experience, and also in a lot of researchers, not just on top of my head, I cannot recall it, but a lot of research has actually found that people who go through an adverse childhood experience tend to have migraine. They're the most of the people that have migraine. So that's the whole purpose. Just to recap the video, we were talking about the emotional connections behind migraine. We learned what is called an adverse childhood experience. We know certain things that comes in the adult childhood experience, like emotional neglect, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. And then we went into an example of a domestic violence, such and such happened. You learn this kind of behavior or response system, and then that creates a PTSD, and then that creates the migraine. And then we learned about the significant stress at early time experience creates a hypersensitive response. And from there, there's something that manifested like a headache or a migraine or nausea. And in your adult life, when you feel anything or when you're about to experience something related to that, suddenly this hypersensitive response kicks in, and then migraine or neuroinflammation happens. And then we talked about the role of painkillers actually not fixing the root cause. And then we understood that once we reiterate the childhood experience, we fix the response, and then we fix the migraine. Believe it or not, there are so many people who have experienced this, and the power of the mind is amazing. And if you have any questions, leave your comments below, and I'll get back to you in the next video, and I'll see you all later. This is Shijo Chandapillai signing off. Thank you so much.